Welcome back to Footnotes and Folly, and to King Henry IV, Part 2. I am Pemberton. This is Part 3, and it is the gravest and most important stretch of the play. In Gaultree Forest the rebel Archbishop and his lords meet the King's younger son, Prince John of Lancaster, and the Earl of Westmoreland. The Prince hears their grievances, swears that they shall have redress, and shakes hands upon a peace, and then, the very moment the trusting rebels send their army home, he arrests the leaders for high treason and sends them to the block. It is the coldest, most calculating act in either play, and Shakespeare lets it stand without comfort. There is comic relief the fat Falstaff bullying a surrendering knight, Sir John Colevile, into yielding without a blow, and then delivering his glorious, tipsy oration in praise of good Chausac. But the heart of this part is at Westminster, in the Jerusalem chamber, where King Henry IV lies dying. The prince, sitting by his sleeping father and believing him already dead, lifts the crown and carries it away, and when the old king wakes to find it gone, the last and bitterest quarrel between father and son breaks out, before they are reconciled at last. Let us go on.
The Archbishop of York, Mowbray, Hastings, and others enter in Gaultree Forest. What is this forest called? It is Gaultree Forest, if it please your grace. Stand here, my lords, and send scouts out to learn the number of our enemies. We have already sent them. That is well done. My friends and brothers in these great affairs, I must tell you that I have received fresh letters from Northumberland. Their cold purpose, meaning, and substance are this: he says he wishes he were here in person, with forces suitable to his rank, but he could not raise them. Because of that, he has withdrawn to Scotland, to let his fortunes ripen, and he ends with sincere prayers that your attempt may survive the danger and the fearful meeting with its enemy. So the hopes we had in him hit the ground and break themselves to pieces. A messenger enters. Now what news? West of this forest, hardly a mile away, the enemy advances in good order. Judging by the ground they cover, I estimate their number at about 30,000. The exact number we reported them to have. Let us move forward and face them in the field. Westmoreland enters. What well-equipped leader comes toward us here? I think it is my lord of Westmoreland. Health and fair greeting from our general, the Prince Lord John, Duke of Lancaster. Speak, my lord of Westmoreland, peacefully, and tell us what concerns your coming. Then, my lord, I address the main substance of my speech chiefly to your grace. Rebellion came looking like itself, in low and vile crowds, led by bloody-minded youth, guarded by rags, and given a face by boys and beggars. I say, if damned revolt appeared in its true, natural, and proper form, then you, reverend father, and these noble lords would not be here to dress the ugly shape of base and bloody insurrection with your honorable names. You, Lord Archbishop, whose diocese is maintained by civil peace, whose beard has been touched by the silver hand of peace, whose learning and good letters have been taught by peace, whose white robes represent innocence, the dove, and the truly blessed spirit of peace, why do you so badly translate yourself out of the graceful language of peace into the harsh and violent tongue of war? Why turn your books into graves, your ink into blood, your pens into lances, and your divine tongue into a loud trumpet and a signal for battle? Why do I do this? That is the question. Briefly, for this reason: we are all diseased, and by our overindulgence in reckless times we have brought ourselves into a burning fever, and we must be bled for it. Our late King Richard was infected with that disease and died of it. But my most noble lord of Westmoreland, I do not take the role of physician here, nor do I march among troops of soldiers as an enemy to peace. Rather I show for a while the appearance of frightening war in order to put overgrown minds, sick with too much prosperity, on a strict diet, and to clear the blockages that are beginning to stop the very veins of our life. Hear me more plainly. I have weighed fairly and evenly what wrongs our arms may do and what wrongs we suffer, and I find our grievances heavier than our offences. We see which way the current of the times is running, and we are forced from our quiet by the rough torrent of necessity. We have a summary of all our grievances, to be shown in articles when the time serves. Long before this, we offered them to the king, but by no petition could we gain a hearing. When we are wronged and want to explain our grievances, we are denied access to his person by the very men who have wronged us most. The dangers of the days just past, whose memory is still written on the earth in visible blood, and the examples that every present moment gives us, have put us into these unbecoming arms, not to break peace, or any branch of peace, but to establish here true peace, agreeing both in name and in reality. When was your appeal ever denied? And what have you been wounded by the king? What peer has been bribed or set on to scrape against you, that you should seal this lawless, bloody book of forged rebellion with a divine seal, and consecrate the bitter edge of revolt? My brother general, the Commonwealth, born as brother to a household cruelty, I make my particular quarrel. There is no need for any such redress, or if there were, it does not belong to you to seek it. Why not to him in part, and to all of us who feel the bruises of former days, and suffer the condition of these times to lay a heavy and unequal hand upon our honours? Oh, my good Lord Mowbray, interpret the times according to their necessities, and you will truly say it is the time, not the king, that injures you. Yet, as for your part, it does not appear to me, either from the king or from the present time, that you have even an inch of ground on which to build a grievance. Were you not restored to all the Duke of Norfolk's lordships, the possessions of your noble and rightly remembered father? What thing in honour had my father lost that needed to be restored and breathed again in me? The king who loved him, as the state then stood, was compelled by necessity to banish him. And then, when that Henry Bowling broke, and he were mounted and ready in their saddles, their neighing horses eager for the spur, their armed lances levelled, their visors down, their fiery eyes sparkling through steel sights, and the loud trumpet calling them together, then, when nothing could have stopped my father from striking the breast of Bowling, broke, oh, when the king threw down his warder, his own life hung upon the staff he threw. Then he threw down himself, and all those lives that by charge of law and by force of sword have since fallen under Bolingbroke. You speak now, Lord Mowbray, without knowing what you say. The Earl of Hereford was then regarded in England as the most valiant gentleman. Who knows on whom fortune would have smiled? But if your father had been the victor there, he would never have carried the victory out of Coventry. The whole country, with one general voice, cried hatred against him. All their prayers and love were set on Hereford, whom they adored, blessed, and honoured indeed more than the king. But this is a mere digression from my purpose. I come here from our princely general to learn your grievances, and to tell you from his grace that he will hear you. Wherever it appears that your demands are just, you shall have them granted, and everything will be set aside that could so much as imagine you enemies. But he has forced us to compel this offer, and it comes from policy, not love. Mowbray, you presume too much to take it that way. This offer comes from mercy, not from fear. For look, within sight our army lies, and on my honour it is far too confident to admit even the thought of fear. Our battle has more men of name than yours, our soldiers are more skilled in the use of weapons, our armour is every bit as strong, and our cause is the better one. Reason then says our hearts should be just as good. Do not say our offer is forced. Well, if I had my will, we would admit no parley. That only proves the shame of your offence. A rotten case cannot bear being handled. Does Prince John have a full commission, by the ample authority of his father, to hear and absolutely decide the conditions on which we shall stand? That is included in the general's name. I wonder you make so light a question of it. Then take the schedule, my lord of Westmoreland, for it contains our general grievances. If each separate article in it is redressed, if all members of our cause, both here and elsewhere, who are joined by sinew to this action, are acquitted by a true and substantial form, and if our wishes, confined to us and to our purposes, are put into present execution, then we will come back within our lawful banks again and bind our powers to the arm of peace. I will show this to the general. If it please you, lords, we may meet in sight of both our armies and either end in peace, which God grant, or else call swords to the place of disagreement, where they must decide it. My lord, we will do so. Westmoreland exits. There is something in my heart that tells me no conditions of our peace can hold. Do not fear that. If we can make our peace on terms so broad and so absolute as our conditions require, our peace will stand as firm as rocky mountains. Yes, but our valuation will be such that every slight and falsely derived cause, every idle, petty, and wilful reason, will taste to the king of this action. Even if our royal promises were martyrs in love, we shall be sifted by so rough a wind that even our grain will seem as light as chaff, and no separation will be found between good and bad. No, no, my lord. Mark this, the king is weary of delicate and picky grievances. He has found that to end one doubt by death revives two greater doubts in those who live after. Therefore he will wipe his tablets clean, and keep no informer in his memory that may repeat and record his loss for new remembrance. He knows very well that he cannot weed this land as precisely as his suspicions give him occasion to do. His enemies are so rooted among his friends that, in pulling to tear out an enemy, he loosens and shakes a friend. So this land is like an offending wife who has enraged him enough to strike her, but as he is striking, holds up his infant child, and so hangs the intended correction in the arm that had been raised to carry it out. Besides, the king has used up all his rods on recent offenders, so that now he lacks the very instruments of punishment. His power, like a lion without fangs, may threaten, but cannot hold. That is very true. Therefore be assured, my good Lord Marshal, that if we now make our reconciliation well, our peace will be like a broken limb joined again, stronger because it was broken. Let it be so. Here my lord of Westmoreland has returned. Westmoreland enters. The prince is close at hand. Will it please your lordships to meet his grace at a fair distance between our armies? Your grace of York in God's name then set forward. Go ahead and greet his grace. My lord, we come. They exit. Mowbray enters from one side with attendants. After him come the Archbishop, Hastings, and others. From the other side enter Prince John of Lancaster, Westmoreland, officers, and others. I am glad to meet you here, my cousin Mowbray. Good day to you, gentle Lord Archbishop, and to you, Lord Hastings, and to all of you. My Lord of York, it would look far better on you if your flock, gathered by the church bell, stood around you reverently to hear you explain the holy text, than it does to see you here armed like a soldier, encouraging a crowd of rebels with your drum, turning the word of God into a sword, and life into death. If a man sits deep in a king's heart, and grows powerful in the sunshine of his favour, then if he abuses the king's approval, alas, what mischief he could unleash under the cover of such greatness. With you, Lord Bishop, it is exactly so. Who has not heard how deeply learned you were in the books of God, how you seem to us the speaker in God's own parliament, the imagined voice of God himself, the interpreter and messenger between the grace and holiness of heaven and our dull human actions? Oh, who can believe anything except that you misuse the reverence due to your office, and use the approval and grace of heaven just as a false favorite uses his prince's name, to do dishonorable deeds? Under a counterfeit zeal for God, you have raised up the subjects of his substitute my father, and against both the peace of heaven and the peace of the king, you have swarmed them together here. Good my lord of Lancaster, I am not here against your father's peace. But as I told my lord of Westmoreland, the disorder of the times, as any common sense can see, presses us and crushes us into this monstrous shape, so that we may defend our safety. I sent your grace the separate points and full details of our grievances, and they were pushed away from the court with scorn. Because of that, this many-headed son of war has been born. Its dangerous eyes can easily be charmed to sleep if our most just and rightful demands are granted, and then true obedience, cured of this madness, will bow tamely at the foot of majesty. We are ready to test our fortunes down to the last man. And even if we fall here, we have reinforcements to continue our attempt. If they fail, others will follow them. And so this succession of conflict will be born, and heir after heir will keep this quarrel alive as long as England has generations of men. You are too shallow, Hastings, much too shallow, to measure the depths of times to come. May it please your grace to answer them directly, and say how far you approve of their articles. I approve them all, and accept them fully. I swear here, by the honor of my blood, that my father's purposes have been misunderstood, and some men around him have too freely twisted his meaning and his authority. My lord, these grievances shall be quickly redressed. On my soul they shall. If this satisfies you, dismiss your forces to their several counties, as we will dismiss ours, and here between the armies let us drink together as friends and embrace, so that all their eyes may carry home these signs of our restored love and friendship. I accept your princely word for these readdresses. I give it to you, and I will uphold my word. And upon that I drink to your grace. Go, captain, and deliver this news of peace to the army. Let them receive their pay and depart. I know it will please them. Hurry, captain. An officer exits. To you, my noble lord of Westmoreland, I pledge your grace in return. And if you knew what pains I have taken to bring about this present peace, you would drink freely. But my love for you shall show itself more openly hereafter. I do not doubt you. I am glad of it. Health to my lord, and gentle cousin Mowbray. You wish me health at a very fitting time, for suddenly I feel somewhat ill. Men are often merry before bad chances, but heaviness comes before a good event. Then be merry, cousin, since sudden sorrow serves to say, some good thing comes tomorrow. Believe me, my spirit is very light. So much the worse, if your own rule is true. Shouts are heard within. The word of peace has been delivered. Listen to how they shout. This would have sounded cheerful after victory. Peace has the nature of a conquest, because in peace both parties are nobly subdued, and neither party loses. Go, my lord, and let our army be discharged as well. Westmoreland exits. And good my lord, if it pleases you, let our troops march past us, so that we may look over the men we would have had to fight. Go, good Lord Hastings, and before they are dismissed, let them march past. Hastings exits. I trust, lords, that we shall lodge together tonight. Westmoreland enters. Now, cousin, why does our army still stand in place? The leaders, having orders from you to stand, will not move off until they hear you speak. They know their duties. Hastings enters. My lord, our army is already dispersed. Like young oxen released from the yoke, they have taken their separate paths east, west, north, and south, or like a school let out, each man hurries toward his home and his place of recreation. Good news, my lord Hastings. For that I arrest you, traitor, for high treason. And you, Lord Archbishop, and you, Lord Mowbray, I arrest you both for capital treason. Is this proceeding just and honorable? Was your gathering just and honorable? Will you break your faith like this? I gave you no pledge of faith. I promised you redress for the grievances you complained of, and by my honor I will carry that out with the most Christian care. But as for you rebels, expect to taste the punishment deserved by rebellion and by acts like yours. Very shallowly you took up these arms, foolishly brought them here, and foolishly sent them away. Strike up our drums, pursue the scattered runaways. God, and not we, has safely fought today. Let some guard these traitors to the block of death, the true bed of treason, and the place where breath is yielded up. They all exit. A battle alarm sounds. Soldiers rush in and out in pursuit. Falstaff enters and meets Colevile. What is your name, sir? What rank are you, and where are you from, I ask you? I am a knight, sir, and my name is Colevile of the Dale. Well then, Colevile is your name, knight is your rank, and the Dale is your place. Colevile shall still be your name, traitor shall be your rank, and the dungeon shall be your place, a place deep enough, so you shall still be Colevile of the Dale. Are you not Sir John Falstaff? As good a man as he is, sir, whoever I may be. Will you surrender, sir, or must I sweat for you? If I sweat, those drops are your friends' tears, and they weep for your death. So stir up fear and trembling in yourself, and pay respect to my mercy. I think you are Sir John Falstaff, and because I think so, I surrender to you. I have a whole school of tongues in this belly of mine, and not one tongue among them says any word except my name. If only my belly were of any ordinary size, I would simply be the most active fellow in Europe. My belly, my belly, my belly is what ruins me. Here comes our general. Prince John of Lancaster enters with Westmoreland, Blunt, and others. The heat of the fight is over. Pursue them no farther now. Call in the forces, good cousin Westmoreland. Westmoreland exits. Now, Falstaff, where have you been all this time? When everything is finished, then you arrive. These late tricks of yours, I swear on my life, will one day or another break some gallows back. I would be sorry, my lord, if it were not always like this. I have never known anything except scolding and correction to be the reward of courage. Do you think I must swallow an arrow or a bullet? In my poor old motion, do I have the speed of thought? I have hurried here to the very farthest inch that possibility allowed. I have exhausted 180 and more horses hired for the road, and here, travel-stained as I am by my pure and spotless courage, I have captured Sir John Colevile of the Dale, a most fierce knight and brave enemy. But what of that? He saw me and surrendered, so I may fairly say with the hook-nosed Roman I came, saw, and conquered. That was more because of his courtesy than because of your merit. I do not know about that. Here he is, and here I hand him over. And I beg your grace, let this be written down with the rest of this day's deeds, or, by the Lord, I will have it put into a separate ballad, with my own picture at the top of it, and Colevile kissing my foot. If I am forced to take that course, then if all of you do not look like little gilded halfpennies beside me, and if I do not shine in the clear sky of fame as much brighter than you as the full moon shines over the ashes of the heavens, which look like pinheads beside her, then do not believe the word of a nobleman. Therefore let me have justice, and let merit rise. Yours is too heavy to rise. Then let it shine. Yours is too thick to shine. Then let it do something, my good lord, that may do me some good, and call it whatever you like. Is your name Colevile? It is, my lord. You are a famous rebel, Colevile, and a famous loyal subject captured him. I am, my lord, only as my betters are, the men who led me here. If they had been guided by me, you would have paid more dearly to win them than you have. I do not know how they sold themselves, but you, like a generous fellow, gave yourself away for nothing, and I thank you for yourself. Westmoreland enters. Now, have you ended the pursuit? The retreat has been sounded, and the executions have been stopped. Send Colevile with his fellow conspirators to York for immediate execution. Blunt, lead him away, and make sure he is securely guarded. Blunt and others exit with Colevile. And now, my lords, let us hurry toward the court. I hear the king, my father, is gravely ill. Our news shall go ahead of us to his majesty. You, cousin, shall carry it to comfort him, and we will follow you with sober speed. My lord, I beg you, give me permission to go through Gloucestershire, and when you come to court, please stand as my good lord and speak well of me in your report. Farewell, Falstaff. In my position, I shall speak better of you than you deserve. All exit except Falstaff. I wish you had only the wit, it would be better than your dukedom. Truly, this same young sober-blooded boy does not love me, and a man cannot make him laugh, but that is no wonder, since he drinks no wine. None of these solemn boys ever proves himself worth anything, for weak drink so overcools their blood, and they eat so many fish meals, that they fall into a kind of male green sickness. Then when they marry, they father girls. They are generally fools and cowards, as some of us would be too, if not for heat in the blood. Good Sheriff sack has a double effect. It rises into my brain, dries up all the foolish, dull, thick vapors that surround it, and makes it sharp, quick, inventive, and full of lively, fiery, delightful shapes. When those are handed over to the voice, the tongue, which gives birth to them, turns them into excellent wit. The second property of excellent Sherris is that it warms the blood. Before, when the blood is cold and settled, it leaves the liver white and pale, which is the mark of faint-heartedness and cowardice. But Sherris warms it and makes it run from the inward parts to the body's farthest edges. It lights up the face, which, like a beacon, warns all the rest of this little kingdom man to arm, and then the vital commoners and inner little spirits all gather to their captain, the heart. The heart, made great and swollen with this following, performs any deed of courage, and this courage comes from Sherris. So skill with a weapon is nothing without sack, because sack sets it to work, and learning is only a treasure of gold kept by a devil, until sack begins it and puts it into action and use. From this comes Prince Harry's courage. For the cold blood he naturally inherited from his father he has treated like lean, barren, bare land, manuring it, farming it, and tilling it with excellent effort by drinking good and plentiful fertile Sherris, so that he has become very hot, blooded and brave. If I had 1,000 sons, the first humane principle I would teach them would be to swear off weak drinks and devote themselves to sack. Bardolph enters. Well now, Bardolph. The whole army is discharged and gone. Let them go. I will travel through Gloucestershire, and there I will visit Master Robert Shallow, Esquire. I already have him softening between my finger and my thumb, and before long I will seal with him. Come along. They exit. The king enters with Warwick, Thomas Duke of Clarence, Humphrey Duke of Gloucester, and others in the Jerusalem chamber at Westminster. Now, lords, if God gives a successful end to this conflict bleeding at our doors, we will lead our youth on to greater fields and draw no swords except in holy causes. Our navy is prepared, our forces gathered, our deputies properly appointed in our absence, and everything lies exactly as we wish. We only lack a little personal strength, and must wait until these rebels now in arms come back under the yoke of government. We do not doubt that your majesty will soon have both. Humphrey, my son of Gloucester, where is the prince your brother? I think he has gone hunting, my lord, at Windsor. And who went with him? I do not know, my lord. Is his brother Thomas of Clarence not with him? No, my good lord. He is here in your presence. What does my lord and father wish? Nothing but your good Thomas of Clarence. Why are you not with the prince your brother? He loves you, and you neglect him, Thomas. You have a better place in his affection than all your brothers. Cherish that, my boy, and you may perform noble services as mediator after I am dead, between his greatness and your other brothers. Therefore do not leave him alone, do not dull his love, and do not lose the good advantage of his favour by seeming cold or careless toward his wishes. For he is gracious if he is treated properly. He has tears for pity, and a hand as open as daylight for tender charity. Yet even so, when he is provoked he is flint, as changeable as winter, and as sudden as gusts of wind frozen in the cold dawn. His temper, therefore, must be carefully watched. Rebuke him for faults, but do it respectfully, when you see his blood incline toward cheerfulness. But when he is moody, give him time and room, until his passions, like a stranded whale, exhaust and destroy themselves by struggling. Learn this, Thomas, and you will prove a shelter to your friends, a golden hoop to bind your brothers together, so that the united vessel of their shared blood, though mingled with the poison of persuasion, as the age will certainly pour it in, shall never leak, even if that poison works as strongly as aconite or rash gunpowder. I shall observe him with all care and love. Why are you not at Windsor with him, Thomas? He is not there today. He is dining in London. And who is with him? Can you tell me that? With Poins and others who are always his followers. The richest soil is most liable to weeds, and he, the noble image of my own youth, is overgrown with them. Therefore my grief stretches beyond the hour of death. The blood weeps for my heart when I imagine the unguided days and rotten times you will have to face when I am sleeping with my ancestors. For when his head, strong riot has no curb, when rage and hot blood are his counselors, when wealth and wasteful habits come together, oh, with what wings his desires will fly toward open danger and certain ruin. My gracious lord, you look far beyond the prince's true nature. He is only studying his companions as one studies a foreign language, where, to learn the language, even the most improper word must be examined and learned. Once it is known, your highness knows it has no further use except to be recognized and hated. So, like crude words, the prince, in the fullness of time, will cast off his followers, and the memory of them will live only as a pattern or measure by which his grace may judge the lives of others, turning past evils into advantages. It is rare for the bee to leave her honeycomb in dead carrion. Westmoreland enters. Who is here? Westmoreland? Health to my sovereign, and new happiness added to what I have come to deliver. Prince John your son sends his duty to your grace. Mowbray, the bishop's group, Hastings, and all the rest have been brought under the correction of your law. There is now no rebel sword left unsheathed. Peace puts out her olive branch everywhere. At more leisure, your highness may rate here how this action was carried out, with every step described in detail. O Westmoreland, you are a summer bird, singing of the rising day even in the depths of winter. Harcourt enters. Look, here is more news. May heaven keep your majesty from enemies, and when they stand against you, may they fall as those I have come to tell you have fallen. The Earl Northumberland and the Lord Bardolph, with a great force of English and Scots, have been overthrown by the Sheriff of Yorkshire. This packet, if it pleases you, contains the manner and exact order of the battle at length. And why should this good news make me sick? Will fortune never come with both hands full, but always write her fair words in the foulest letters? Either she gives appetite and no food, as she does to the poor who have health, or else she gives a feast and takes away the appetite, as she does to the rich who have abundance and cannot enjoy it. I ought to rejoice now at this happy news, and now my sight fails, and my brain reels. Oh, come near me. I am very ill now. Take comfort, your majesty. Oh, my royal father. My sovereign lord, cheer yourself. Look up. Be patient, princes. You know these fits are very common with his highness. Stand away from him. Give him air. He will soon be well. No, he cannot long endure these pains. The constant care and labor of his mind have worn the wall that should contain it so thin that life looks through and will break out. The people frighten me, for they observe fatherless errors and hateful births of nature. The seasons change their habits, as if the year had found some months asleep and leaped over them. The river has flowed 3 times with no ebb between, and the old people, those foolish chronicles of time, say it did the same a little before our great-grandfather Edward fell sick and died. Speak lower, princes, for the king is recovering. This stroke will certainly be his end. I pray you, lift me up and carry me from here into some other chamber. Gently, I pray you. They all exit. King lies on a bed. Clarence, Gloucester, Warwick, and others attend him. Let there be no noise, my gentle friends, unless some soft and welcome hand will whisper music to my tired spirit. Call for the music in the other room. Set the crown here on my pillow. His eyes are hollow, and he is much changed. Less noise, less noise. Prince Henry enters. Who has seen the Duke of Clarence? I am here, brother, full of grief. What is this? Rain indoors and none outside? How is the king? Extremely ill. Has he heard the good news yet? Tell it to him. He changed greatly when he heard it. If joy has made him sick, he will recover without medicine. Not so much noise, my lords. Sweet prince, speak softly. The king your father is inclined to sleep. Let us withdraw into the other room. Will it please your grace to come with us? No. I will sit here and keep watch beside the king. All leave except the prince. Why does the crown lie there upon his pillow, when it is so troublesome a bedfellow? O polished disturbance, golden care, you keep the gates of sleep wide open through many watchful nights. Sleep with it now, father, yet not as soundly or half as sweetly as the poor man whose forehead is wrapped in a plain nightcap while he snores through the night watch. O majesty, when you pinch the one who bears you, you sit like rich armor worn in the heat of the day, burning while it protects. At the gates of his breath lies a soft feather that does not stir. If he breathed, that light weightless down would have to move. My gracious lord, my father, this sleep is sound indeed. This is a sleep that has separated so many English kings from this golden circle. What I owe you is tears and deep grief for my blood, which nature, love, and a son's tenderness shall pay you fully, dear father. What you owe me is this imperial crown, which comes directly to me from your place and blood. See where it sits, and may God guard it. If the whole strength of the world were put into one giant arm, it could not force this inherited honor from me. What comes to me from you, I will leave to my own, as it has been left to me. The prince exits. Warwick, Gloucester, Clarence. Warwick, Gloucester, Clarence, and the rest enter. Does the king call? What does your majesty want? How does your grace fare? Why did you leave me here alone, my lords? We left the prince, my brother, here, my liege. He undertook to sit and watch beside you. The Prince of Wales. Where is he? Let me see him. He is not here. This door is open. He has gone this way. He did not come through the chamber where we stayed. Where is the crown? Who took it from my pillow? When we withdrew, my liege, we left it here. The prince has taken it away. Go seek him out. Is he so hasty that he thinks my sleep is my death? Find him, my lord of Warwick, and scold him back here. Warwick exits. This part of his conduct joins itself to my disease and helps to finish me. See, sons, what you are, how quickly nature turns rebellious when gold becomes its desire. For this, foolish, over-careful fathers have broken their sleep with anxious thoughts, their brains with worry, their bones with labor. For this they have gathered and heaped up their corroding piles of strangely won gold. For this they have taken care to train their sons in arts and exercises of war. We are like bees, collecting virtuous sweetness from every flower, our thighs packed with wax and our mouths with honey. We bring it to the hive, and like the bees, we are murdered for our pains. This bitter taste hands all his gains to the dying father. Warwick enters. Now where is he who will not wait so long as until his friend's sickness has finished with me? My lord, I found the prince in the next room, washing his gentle cheeks with natural tears, showing such a deep bearing of great sorrow that tyranny itself, which never drank anything but blood, would, seeing him, have washed its knife with gentle teardrops. He is coming here. But why did he take away the crown? Prince Henry enters. Look, here he comes. Come here to me, Harry. Leave the chamber. Let us be alone. Warwick and the rest exit. I never thought I would hear you speak again. Your wish was the father of that, thought Harry. I lived too long for you, I weary you. Do you hunger so much for my empty chair, that you must clothe yourself in my honors before your proper hour is ripe? O foolish youth, you seek the greatness that will overwhelm you. Wait only a little, for the cloud of dignity above me is held from falling by so weak a wind that it will soon drop. My day is fading. You have stolen what, after a few hours, would have been yours without offense, and before my death you have sealed up my expectation. Your life has shown that you did not love me, and you would have me die certain of it. You hid 1,000 daggers in your thoughts sharpened on your stony heart, to stab at half an hour of my life. What, can you not wait for me half an hour? Then go away, dig my grave yourself, and order the merry bells to ring in your ears because you are crowned, not because I am dead. Let all the tears that should wet my funeral bier become drops of balm to bless your head, and leave me only mixed with forgotten dust. Give the body that gave you life to the worms. Pull down my officers, break my decrees, for now time has come to mock all order. Harry the Fifth is crowned. Up vanity. Down royal state. All you wise counsellors get out. Let the idle apes from every region now assemble at the English court. Now, neighbouring borders, cleanse yourselves of your filth. Have you a ruffian who will swear, drink, dance, revel all night, rob, murder, and commit the oldest sins in the newest ways? Be happy, he will trouble you no more. England will richly gild his triple guilt. England will give him office, honour, power, because the fifth Harry pulls the muzzle of restraint from unbridled license, and the wild dog will tear every innocent with his teeth. O my poor kingdom, sick with wounds from civil war! When my care could not restrain your riots, what will you do when riot is the one who cares for you? Oh, you will become a wilderness again, peopled with wolves, your old inhabitants. Oh, pardon me, my liege. If not for my tears, those wet obstacles to speech, I would have stopped this dear and deep rebuke before grief had made you speak it, and before I had heard it go so far. There is your crown, and may he who wears the crown for ever long keep it yours. If I desire it more than as your honor and your renown, let me never rise again from this obedience, which my most inward, true, and dutiful spirit teaches this outward bending of my body. God witness with me, when I came in here and found no breath passing through your majesty, how cold it struck my heart. If I pretend, then let me die in my present wildness, and never live to show the unbelieving world the noble change I have intended. Coming to look on you, thinking you were dead, and myself almost dead, my liege, to think you were so, I spoke to this crown as if it had understanding, and accused it this way: the care that depends on you is fed upon the body of my father. Therefore you, best of gold, or worst of gold. Other gold, less fine in purity, is more precious when it preserves life in drinkable medicine, but you, most fine, most honored, most renowned, have eaten up the one who bore you. In this way, my most royal liege, accusing it, I put it on my head, to try my quarrel with it as with an enemy that had murdered my father before my face, the quarrel of a true inheritor. But if it infected my blood with joy, or swelled my thoughts with any strain of pride, if any rebellious or vain spirit of mine welcomed its power with even the smallest affection, let God keep it from my head forever, and make me like the poorest subject, who kneels to it with awe and terror. O my son, God put it into your mind to take it away, so that you might win more of your father's love by pleading so wisely in excuse of it. Come here, Harry. Sit by my bed and hear, I think, the very last counsel I will ever breathe. God knows, my son, by what side paths, and indirect crooked ways, I came to this crown, and I myself know well how uneasily it sat upon my head. It will descend to you with better quiet, better opinion, and stronger confirmation, for all the stain of how it was gained goes with me into the earth. In me it seemed only like an honor snatched with a violent hand, and many people were alive to reproach me for gaining it with their assistance. Those reproaches daily grew into quarrel and bloodshed, wounding the peace that we only pretended to have. You see that I have answered all these bold dangers with peril, for my whole reign has been like a play performing that argument. Now my death changes the mood, for what was purchased in me falls upon you in a fairer way, so you wear the garland by succession. Yet though you stand more securely than I could, you are not secure enough, since resentments are still fresh. All my friends, whom you must make your friends, have only just had their stings and teeth pulled out. By their fierce working I was first raised up, and by their power I had good reason to fear being displaced again. To avoid that, I cut them off, and I had planned now to lead many of them out to the Holy Land, so that rest and idleness would not make them look too closely at my state. Therefore, my Harry, let your course be to keep restless minds busy with foreign quarrels, so that action carried abroad may wear away the memory of former days. I would say more, but my lungs are so wasted that the strength to speak is utterly denied me. How I came by the crown, O God, forgive, and grant that it may live with you in true peace. My gracious liege, you when at war it kept it and gave it to me. Then my possession must be plain and right, and I will rightfully maintain it against all the world with more than common pain. Lord John of Lancaster and others enter. Look, here comes my John of Lancaster. Health, peace, and happiness to my royal father. You bring me happiness and peace, son John, but health, alas, has flown away on youthful wings from this bare, withered trunk. At the sight of you my worldly business reaches its end. Where is my Lord of Warwick? My Lord of Warwick. Warwick and others enter. Does any particular name belong to the lodging where I first fainted? It is called Jerusalem, my noble lord. Praise be to God. There my life must end. It was prophesied to me many years ago that I would not die except in Jerusalem, which I vainly supposed meant the Holy Land. But carry me to that chamber. There I will lie. In that Jerusalem shall Harry die. They exit.
And there we pause, with the old king dead and the crown passed to the wild prince now no longer wild. We have seen the rebellion ended not in glory, but in a cold trick, and the great king die full of guilt and care, counselling his son to busy restless minds with foreign quarrels, so that the memory of how the crown was won should not stir up trouble at home. And we have seen the most important reconciliation in both plays, Hal, who took the crown too soon, kneeling to beg his dying father's pardon, and the king blessing him and telling him at last how the throne shall come to him more fairly than it came to himself. The boy of the taverns is gone, a king stands in his place. Next time, in the final part, the new reign of Henry V, the foolish justice shallow fleeced, and the famous, chilling moment all this has been building toward the rejection of Falstaff. Mind the footnotes, and beware the folly.